Oh, please
listen to what I say.
Here.
Lorraine Rosner.
Here.
Kate Kutash is absent. Jason Neves.
Here.
Also in attendance, Ken Saranich, Amy Romano, Kristen Santilli, and James Orizzetti.
Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Flag, United States of America, to the republic, and one nation, under God.
All right. Approval of the agenda, please.
I'll make a motion. The agenda.
I'll second.
So moved by Mr. Nevis, seconded by Ms. Rosner. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Being opposed, carries unanimously. Item number 3 of the agenda, review of the minutes from the last previous meeting. Take a motion to approve if there's no amendments.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion
second.
Same motion by Mr. Nevis, seconded by Ms. Rosner. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
They being opposed, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Public comment, I did not see anybody here, nor do I see anybody signed up. Move on to agenda items. Let's see. First one is policy 1312, public complaints. This is on the agenda.
Thank you. So I'm bringing to the board a change that we need to do with policy 1312 based on the advice from our attorney. A few years ago, not too long ago, we did a revision to this policy on public complaint where a form number 2 was added to the policy. Now, the policy itself is designed to support a state statute that allows the public to register complaints about curriculum. That's the statute. This board, a few years back, expanded it to do kind of any type of complaint, and they created a form to register complaints. The problem with that, we've had some situations since that form has been completed where a member from the public, aka like a parent, would submit a complaint form about a staff member or such, and then the way the form is written, they would get a meeting to find out what happens as a result of their complaints. As our attorney pointed out, that's in violation because you can't talk about personnel matters. So I would have to explain to the parent who registered the complaint that I can't discuss it, which frustrates the parent because it's like, well, you're part of a policy. So in turn, our attorney said that the policy, the whole policy can stand. His recommendation is form number 2 has to come off. That you can't discuss personnel matters. I mean, obviously, you know, the public has the right to register complaints with the superintendent, but there's a certain avenue for how certain issues are defined. Since the board has a stake in curriculum, that's why the state statute is complaining about curriculum. But when it comes to personnel matters, that has to take a whole other avenue. Yeah, and it can't be part of this particular policy. So the recommendation is the policy will stand as is. We would just remove form number 2.
Any further discussions, questions on that?
And if I may, one more thing.
Sure.
Our attorney does have a communication on this if anyone would like to see it. I did not include it in the packet because it's part of attorney-client privileges, so I didn't want to make it public record. But I would be happy to forward his communication on this matter to any board member who would like to see it or have a copy. Just let me know.
Entertain a motion to send to the full board.
I'll make that motion to send to the full board.
Second.
Awesome.
I think it's going to be the same proposer and second all night.
Yeah.
This is a 3-member
Makes
crew.
it easier, Jim.
All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any being opposed, motion carries and is being sent to the full board. Policy 1324-1, fundraising and solicitation.
I believe we're going to take -1, 2, and 3 all together. Kind of talk all the discussion because they all revolve around fundraising.
Let's do that.
Okay. No. I said we're going to discuss all 3 together instead of discussing them separately.
Yeah, discuss all 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
You're out of order, Madam Chairman.
I just wanted to do that.
Damn it, cool.
Okay, we're going to go on to all 3 at the same time.
So
Who would like to say, sir?
I actually, I'm going to defer to the board chair, who I had a discussion with today about it. She had a plan that she wanted to present.
And of course, I would have just printed at home. I didn't know you guys had a problem with your printer. So I'm going to just go off of my memory. Well, I'll just give a little background. I know that we've been discussing this, and I did meet with Mr. Cernich and also the athletic director, and in discussions with fundraising, he has some ideas, the athletic coordinator, some things that he would like tweaked when we look at these policies. And then after looking at them, I feel my suggestion would be they overlap. Well, let's just say a lot of these overlap. It would be nice to take these three policies, combine them, okay, and clean up the language based on what we need for things that we have seen. And I'll do a little explaining because I apologize. My outline that I was going to hand you guys, obviously, like I said, was not there. For example, the first one is just fundraising and solicitation, and it's broad. And that would probably basically apply to our PTOs, our schools, so on and so forth. Then we have another one that's the sports booster clubs, and it's really the same process that these people are doing. And it would be nice to just combine them. And then there's actually one more that we didn't list here, which is the gifts, and how much they could spend, the $2,500 max. And so I know when I was speaking to Ken, there's a lot of overlap. So he's even saying, oh, hold on, let me go to this policy. Oh, wait, let's reference this policy. Let's reference that policy. And if we simply take them, it's really the same process for all, and combine it, clean them up into the language and say, everyone follows this process. Whether you're a sports booster club, you're a regular club, it doesn't have to be sports. It could be the dance team is fundraising, whatever it is, everyone follows this process, even down to individuals or organizations that want to, they fundraise, they want to give us not even fundraising, just even donations. So it could just all be cleaned up, combine them, put it into a nice format. And the format's already there. It's just jumbled, and just clean up the language and then move on. Now, again, I apologize. I don't have my outline with me, like I said, but go ahead.
Well, just to add to what Mrs. Romano is saying, back before the digital era, when the policy book was a paper policy book, these policies sat pages after one another. So when someone would look at policies, you would just turn the page. Now, as there's one, if someone opens one, they don't necessarily know to open the second one, to open the other one. So I support Mrs. Romano's approach, where I think it could all be one policy. They still could have different aspects, like different parts, part one, part two,
part three.
but a continuous policy as one, where everything is cleared. Because if someone from the public reads one of these policies and not all of these policies, they're not really understanding the full board's position on fundraising. So to combine all three, tighten it up, and then make it into the parts as one Board of Ed fundraising policy, I think it's just more transparent and understandable for our general public, as opposed to just having them assume they're going to click on all the different boxes to get all of our different policies online. So
yeah,
I think it makes sense. So
it does. I mean, I said, I have it's not necessarily that we're changing even what we say in there. It's just combining it. And make it easier to follow, because it is. You're like, let me look at this policy. Oh, hold on, wait, there's one more policy. Let me look through all the policy books and see if there's another policy. Oh, wait, there's one more. I can't do more than 2,500. It's jumbled. And then I do know that athletics. So in that section, athletics does, would like to clean up their side as well. They do have administrative regs that were put in place on their booster clubs, but he would, love some of that to overlap into our policy, and he has some suggestions, that it would help on the athletic end if we include some of those things that are in their administrative regs in ours. He did share that there is some problems with booster clubs sometimes, just an example of, they fundraise all this money, but then they want to hold it hostage now too. And it's like, okay, but you fundraise this money and you need to spend it on the children. And And then also things that, you know, he shared, you know, just like little things, you know, but it would help them.
And again, just to kind of support that detail, like, you know, as the board is aware, you know, we could write administrative regs based on policies.
Correct.
But when we write those administrative regs, you know, our staff, obviously, because they're employed by us, will follow the administrative regs. But the general public, when they're involved with policies, they'll refer to the policy. They look at as the board as being the authoritative body of writing the policies. So even Scott would say he needs a little bit more teeth, like, you know, for the board. Like if he's saying a position of, hey, if this is fundraised and it can or can't be spent on this, you know, someone from the public would say, well, where does that say that in the board policy? They're the people who we ask permission from. You know, they're not looking at it as, so Scott was like, you know, hey, if we could get some of that language in the policy, then it supports his position because the board who they have to get permission from sets the rules, sets the guardrails of how things are going to be
Some
done.
type of guideline under the booster club
Yeah.
section on what they should be spending money.
Right.
Well, that was the whole thing. It's like, okay, so we have to take these policies, combine it, you know what I mean, and clean up language and then add in some of Scott's requests that it's like, okay, well, who can help? I know Kaylee would obviously certainly do the typing. But,
And
you know,
clearly, administration will kind of start putting it together, but we do need some guidance from the board. We don't want to waste anyone's time and present something. It's like, that's no, you know, like, so in between now and when we meet again on this issue, if there's board input on terms of move this, change this, do this, that'll help us in terms kinds of putting those things together.
Couple. I've looked at it. With that in mind,
someone from the committee needs to spearhead it with Kaylee. You know, I'm sure she'll, you know, take care of the editing if we.
With the goal that we would submit a draft
Of
at the
course,
next policy
yeah,
meeting,
a draft.
for the entire policy committee to review it and then make suggestions and changes as needed. But just to give us a baseline, yeah, for that draft.
that up. And either.
Brosner,
You or Kate? And it could be a couple of people sitting down and doing it and over coffee. You know what I mean? With Kaylee.
Well, I would appreciate your notes on.
Yeah, I have like I said, I have like I apologize. We didn't know the printer was down. You know, and if I'm sure it wouldn't take that long to really put together.
I mean, if I may, we're just looking for guy. If you want to talk to other board
Yeah.
members, and then Kaylee and I will kind of put it all
Yeah, and then Kaylee
together.
put it together.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. You
you
have
know,
some
yeah.
experience in this, so.
Honestly, Lorraine, I'll be honest with you. I put together something, I could send it, but then once Kaylee puts it together, right? You probably are, out of all of us board members, you were on the administrative side to be like, this process won't work, Amy. You know, because sometimes our input might muck things up too. You know, because you know how the inside works as well.
But
I'm sure we could work together on it.
Are you also suggesting an outline like regs, but
Scott has an administrative reg
Scott has an
already.
old one.
And he needs to
No.
clean that up. He knows, but Ken said to him, I'll help you clean that up after this policy.
Yeah, it's like the cart and the horse thing. It's like,
yeah.
I think the policy should be established, and then we can really outline the administrative regs.
Oh my God.
And that was put at a
I
time
know.
that a lot of things have changed. Yeah, correct.
Lorraine, if you hammer it, I'll definitely help you and I'll review it as well.
Yeah, it's, as long as I could get down.
Let's do this.
Working edit.
Yeah, is there an edible version of them?
If you can.
Oh, anything we have, we can unlock as a PDF.
We can unlock
Yeah.
it and then work on it and just take this paragraph, put it here. You know, it's not necessarily that we're rewriting everything too. Some of it's jargon that we'd be like, just take that whole thing out. Oh, but no, we definitely need to keep that paragraph. It's merging them and cleaning it up.
Well, why don't we do
But
this?
You're not going to different numbers.
I think we should combine them.
Yeah, it just.
And then it's like
sections,
all
subtitles.
fundraising
Subtitle sections. Yep.
and subtitle sections.
I think
just don't want to do the work and not have it.
No, I think step one, and I don't want to speak for Kaylee, but I think she can easily combine all these three into one.
Yeah.
That's right off the bat. Then you're going to have this very long document.
And then, yeah,
now
and
it's
then-
about start pruning what comes out.
Yeah,
of it,
prune what
needs to
comes
be
out
updated.
and what goes in.
Yep.
All right, let's do this. Amy, if you could send over your notes to
Yeah.
Lorraine. Lorraine, once you combine it all, I'll be happy to take a look at it with you, and I know Ken will as well.
Yes.
With that in mind, let's table these three. I could have a motion to table these three policies. And then when we have that one singular document, it'll still be on the agenda. We'll bring
Yeah.
it back. Okay?
Yep.
Great.
There's no rush.
Yep, I'll make
Good.
that motion.
Good.
Okay.
I think it will help.
All right.
It will help the departments. Thank
Motion
you.
made by Ms. Nevis, second by Ms. Rosner. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any being opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Last one, policy 4000.4.
Okay, policy 4000.4 is a policy that the Shelton Board of Ed created, and there was a place for that. But when CABE was doing the policy review, they informed us that we are the only district in Connecticut that has said policy. So I did a deeper dive in terms of what the policy was, why it was put in place, and why CABE's recommendation is. CABE's recommendation would be that it's not needed. And I'm going to just then from there tell you what my recommendation is. So policy 4000.4 is basically a policy that the Board of Ed says. So let me take a step back so we can go. So you all know that our staff are mandated reporters for child abuse, okay? A child in the state of Connecticut is dictated by any individual under the age of 18. When you're 18, you're considered a legal adult in Connecticut. We have an 18 through 22 program. They are students of ours. If a child we suspected had neglect in that particular program, they are an adult versus a child, and rather the regulated mandated reporting goes in place. So I believe this policy was designed to say that we would mandate reporting for adults with intellectual disabilities because we have an 18 through 22 program. CABE's position on this is, we still have a duty to report neglect of any individual, but we're putting ourselves, could be in a litigious situation by putting more mandates on us than is actually required by law. Because when you get into the age of 18 and over and it's an adult, the rules relatively change than when we're dealing with minors. So although our staff would still be obligated to make reporting, and we always look at the best interest of all of our students, no matter what age they are, CABE's recommendation is you're putting in a policy in place that really is not needed and may actually put more onus on you than would be required by law. So their suggestion is that we remove the policy. So my suggestion would be, in following CABE, that we would remove the policy, but of course that's up for discussion with the board itself.
So, anyone want to discuss or comment? Seeing none, I'll comment then. I have a concern. There's a reason why they put this in. I think always you have to have a policy or set, even if that standard's higher than any other district. But I don't know if I'm comfortable with, removing it. It was put in for a reason. I don't know what that reason was. Time.
Yeah,
Some board felt
I wasn't
it was-
around when the policy was created, so I don't know what the discussion was.
2006.
I'm okay moving it to the full board, but I'm going to want a little bit of time also to research it myself and find out why it was put there. And was there an incident that happened? Oh, was there a failure to report?
Had to do.
Okay, I'm okay moving it to the full board and then discussing it by then. The rest.
I mean, we have new. That's something. But I'm. But had to do. Not. I did. Enough
And the state's not requiring this in any shape?
No, and Cave says we are the only district in Connecticut that has said policy.
It's, the state has a,
And to Mrs. Romano's point, which I didn't even look, but I mean, you're talking about a policy that's 20 years old. So that's where it could just be outdated itself. That maybe that there were boards of ed that had this policy, but they said currently there is no other district that has a policy like this on their book, on the records.
I'll take a motion then, I guess, to move it to the full board for removal would be the correct terminology.
You want a discussion on the discussion on the full board or on a consent agenda? Well, if you're going to remove something, don't you still need to vote on it, right?
It is a policy. I think it should probably be separated. That's your determination.
if you have it
Yeah.
As to why it's being removed.
Yeah, as an actual line item.
outlined,
All right, so put it on January's agenda,
but not on,
not under the consent agenda.
Yeah.
I also wonder if it's got to sit.
I just wonder if it has to
Even
sit
a
to
removal?
remove.
Well, I think, I would say just like adding a policy, I think removing a policy should sit and be open to the public for comment.
Yeah.
And then the board can take action the following. Yep.
And then it will be really voted on. It will sit for the
So.
next regular scheduled board meeting.
A recommendation, I mean, we do have the board meeting tomorrow. The policy chair could present it tomorrow during your report, and then it technically sits for 30 days to be on the January.
Yeah, it should,
Okay.
actually, two of them, both of them should go up, Kaylee, for tomorrow. Well, actually, no,
The agenda's already printed though,
Yeah,
so then
yeah.
you're not showing the public that you put it on.
That'll have to be the next
Okay.
meeting because it's got to be on the signed post for
Okay.
at least.
It's
All
gotta be
right, so then we're doing it for
hours.
January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no
Put it
rush
out for
for
Jan.
this.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Motion by Mr. Nimitz.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Mr. Rosen, second. All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Many being opposed, motion carries unanimously. Superintendent's comments.
So my only comments that I want to say is, I do believe we're making great headway with policy, but we are going to start to get backlogged, and I would like to suggest or recommend that we have a January policy meeting. It's not on the books, but I think we need to schedule one. If anyone saw the original agenda for tonight's meeting, it was very long, and then it was just too daunting, so we kind of broke it up because we said, and if we can have a January meeting, what we would do is we could follow up on some of these issues, but more importantly, get back to the CABE piece and look at the 6,000 series, which is the next in line. So we keep moving with momentum.
Kaylee, could you set a meeting for January, please? Thank you, ma'am.
I have a suggestion. I don't know, do we want to meet after teaching and learning on January 14th? And that's. No, not.
Let's set it for the 14th then. That would be wonderful.
I'll just check again, but
Teaching and learning is
Nope.
what, 4:30 to 5:30?
4:30 to 5:30. We can
And then do policy at 5:30?
we can have policy at 5:30. Yep, that night. There's no budget meeting that night because January is going to be tight with all the budget meetings. So knowing that there's no budget meeting on the 14th, that's why I kind of put that recommendation out there.
Okay, and then you're going to do the instructional ones are coming
We're
up?
gonna the
okay?
6,000 series. Yep,
and,
4:30. Yep.
and
5:30, plenty of time?
Oh yeah,
Teaching
there's
and
nothing
learning,
after
yeah,
that,
we're
so we
fine.
can.
I just want to make sure.
And honestly, with teaching and learning, if we wanted to, we could always start it at 4. I know everybody could be there. Like if we needed an extra 30 minutes or
All right,
something like that,
so-
like it's fine.
Kaylee, you have that for the calendar? Okay. Okay, great. That's all I have.
My only
Okay,
comment
very
is
easy.
have a Merry Christmas if I don't see you all.
Tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow.
That's true.
You were getting ahead of yourself.
I really was. I was like already over. Let me go. Yeah. I do have a wait tomorrow. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
second.
All those in favor state by saying aye. Being opposed, state by saying nay. Seeing none, motion's adjourned.